So the prevailing news right now is that we will get a heavily redacted version of the Mueller report released this coming Thursday. So who's doing the redacting, you might ask? Well, that is Attorney General William Barr, the man who has repeatedly shown throughout his career that he cannot be trusted. Within the last few days, stories have been circulating about Barr's actions in 1989 when he, as then the head of the Office of Legal Counsel at the U.S. Department of Justice, got his hands on a DOJ report, and he was in charge of delivering that report to Congress. But instead of delivering the report to Congress, William Barr decided to write a 13-page summary of this report, which he then delivered that to Congress. And it was later revealed that Barr lied. Barr lied through his teeth. But was he punished? No. In 1991, just 2 short years later, he was appointed Attorney General by George H.W. Bush. So here's the thing. This is what happened back in 1989. This DOJ report was dealing with whether or not the FBI had the authority to go to another country without the consent of that government and make arrests of people wanted for crimes back here in the United States. That's illegal. We cannot just go into another country uninvited without permission of that country, without permission of the UN, and arrest somebody and bring them back to the United States. It's a violation of international law, but that is what the United States was doing during the Reagan administration. And that's what this DOJ memo showed. But William Barr, in his address to Congress, his 13-page summary, said, oh, no, we weren't even dealing with international law. We were just talking about domestic law in this report and what the FBI is allowed to do. So yeah, under domestic law, we're totally allowed to arrest people. But that's not what the report was about, and that is certainly not what the report said. The report was dealing with international law. Now that all may seem confusing, and I did my best to kind of boil it down to nuts and bolts right there, but the bottom line is this. William Barr has a history of lying not just to Congress, but to the American public to cover up for a corrupt president. And we're somehow supposed to trust this guy to redact the Mueller report, which some experts are saying could be up to 50% redacted? This isn't a report at that point. It is a page that looks like it was covered with ink that spilled out. We're not going to learn anything from this report because that's how William Barr wants it to be. Yeah, he says he's briefed the White House on it. And judging from Trump's erratic and incoherent tweets for the last 48 hours, I think that's a safe assumption that he did brief the White House about it because Trump appears to be freaking out for no apparent reason right now. But we're not going to know until Congress is able to get their hands on that full unredacted report. Now, having said that, I think if we're making assumptions, because unfortunately that's all we can do right now, what we could find from an unredacted report would be that this administration acted very carelessly, acted foolishly, much like Comey said when he came out and said, I'm not charging Hillary, but she really screwed things up and, she should have had better judgment. I think we would see a lot of that. We would likely see the real evidence of obstruction of justice, that Congress should be the ones making the determination on whether or not to proceed with charges on that, not William Barr. Maybe we would see intent for obstruction of justice there, maybe not. But the point is, until that full unredacted report is released, all we have is speculation. We're not going to know what's in those redacted sections, and that is a problem. The public waited almost 2 years for this report, and Republicans and Democrats alike want to see the full unredacted report. But rest assured, as long as William Barr is our Attorney General, we will never get to see what's in that report. And that is really the only reason why William Barr is Attorney General today. One of our video sponsors today is Simple Habit. Simple Habit is a program that offers you multiple different types and styles and lengths of guided meditations. And right now, Simple Habit is offering a free 7-day trial to our Ring of Fire audience. Just go to simplehabit.com/Ring of Fire to sign up for your free 7-day trial. Now, the scientific benefits of meditation have been proven time and time again. It helps reduce anxiety, it reduces stress, it helps alleviate pain, it can help with depression, and it's an overall good way to help regulate and learn to control your emotions, according to scientific studies. Now, me personally, I have trouble falling asleep at night. I have a lot of thoughts running through my head, and it's been difficult for me to find a way to kind of relax, calm down, and push everything out of my head. So I've actually been using Simple Habit recently. I've been using one of their guided meditations that you use before you go to sleep. And I can't tell you how much this has helped me. It's calming, it's relaxing, and it allows me to finally fall asleep. And there are all kinds of guided meditations available. There's some for the morning, for afternoon, when you get home from work, taking a break from work, relaxing on a weekend day. There's all kinds of things for you to try. So remember, just check out simplehabit.com/Ring of Fire. And right now, all of our viewers can get 7 days free. simplehabit.com/Ring of Fire.